So yeah, I'm Dorothy Penner with Edmonton Orienteering and Kids Run Wild. I started orienteering because my sister and I used to do an event called the City Chase. We loved it so much that we would do both the Edmonton and Calgary events. And in 2006, we were participating in the Calgary event. We kept running into the same couple throughout the day, doing the different activities. And towards the end of the challenges, the husband from the other couple said, if you love this, you should try orienteering. So when I came home, I Googled it, figured out where the next event was going to be, got lost on my way to the registration area, and I've been hooked ever since. Yeah, so that led me into the sport. I spent a couple of years getting to know some of the club members and what the sport actually looked like. I started participating in some of the competitions, both locally and internationally, and was asked if I was interested in volunteering with our club youth program, Kids Run Wild. The youth director at the time was the one that invited me to join the program. We were revamping it, so that would have been 2011. He was revamping the program and he wanted a new spin on what that program could look like. So we had a couple of meetings, planning sessions, and he put together what Kids Run Wild would ultimately become at the time. For me, what drives me with the sport is the excitement and wonderment that the families and the students outwardly show when they're participating in the sport, especially when people are realizing that what we do with a map and trying to figure out your best route to get from one location to the next is an actual internationally recognized sport. Because a lot of people don't recognize that this is an actual thing. A lot of people think when it comes to orienteering that what they teach in Boy Scouts and Girl Guides is ultimately the sport. With Girl Guides and Boy Scouts, what they're teaching is compass bearings and pace counting, which ultimately is not what the sport looks like from our end. We have a vibrantly colored map. How you choose to get to your markers is totally up to you. So if you feel like you're super adventurous one day, you can do a bunch of bushwhacking. If you want to take an easy route and just stick to the trails, it may take you a little bit longer route-wise to get to where you're going, but how you do it is totally up to you. You can do it as a family or as a competitive individual, a gaggle of girls going out on a nightly walk. Like, it's totally what you make of it. The sport of orienteering is a map-based treasure hunt. So there's a colorful map that provides a lot more detail than your basic topography map. It shows the locations that you need to visit and often the order that you need to visit those locations in, but how you choose to get to each of those markers is up to you. So you get to decide what the route is, as opposed to trail running where they're providing the route, you're just following along. So it's both the mental and physical aspects. And it's a sport where the runners aren't always the ones that end up being the competitive winners, especially if they're overshooting the locations that they need to go to or making bad route choice decisions. Some of the people that are walking courses can end up making better decisions and having less errors and ultimately have a faster time frame. So for physical, ultimately, if you are a good map reader and a super competent runner, physically running is your best option. But there are also different modalities for how the sport can be played out. So traditionally it's a running sport, but there's also bike orienteering, there's cross-country ski orienteering. Our club created skate orienteering with the mix of the skate trails that we now have fairly abundantly in the winter. Cross-country ski orienteering, so there's so many other modalities. So being a physically fit runner can be beneficial, but if you're a physically fit runner and a poor cross-country skier attending a cross-country skiing event for orienteering, then you may not do as well as you hope you could. For the mental components, it's a lot of on-the-fly decision-making. So it's figuring out what the symbols on the map are, especially if you're in a hilly terrain, trying to read and decipher what those contours look like from the map to the actual terrain. And then, yeah, all about the route choice decision-making, figuring out how that course is going to work best with your own ability. The route choices that I choose as a slow runner are probably going to be totally different than somebody that is a super fast runner. Yeah, so I think that sport should be accessible and safe and available to all. One of the reasons why I reached out to the Special Olympics was to make sure that sport could be adaptable for them. So this year we hosted our first Special Olympic event back in the spring at Glengarry Park here in Edmonton. We had a great turnout. Our volunteers were absolutely incredible. I had additional volunteers show up than what we were actually planning on, which was really nice. We had more than enough volunteers to go out and support each of the Special Olympic families that attended. It was a park space that has really easy, gentle trails and relatively flat in most areas. So it was fairly easy for us to be able to showcase what the sport looks like for people that had never participated in it before. And I'm actually working with Special Olympics to work on additional programs probably this coming fall. So with one of the school programs that we did earlier this year, we had booked the program, and then I was approached afterwards by the teacher letting me know that they had a now fully blind student who recently became blind. They were hoping that we could come up with an alternative so that he would be able to actively participate in the sport as well. I was chatting with my husband about figuring out what would end up working out best. And my husband came up with the majority of the ideas for that program. So he volunteered to create a 3D map and 3D print it with textile elements so that the blind student could figure out what those different symbols meant. Then my husband also knew that with a lot of blind athletes participating in sports, that beeping or sound cues are often used. So we looked, we checked to see what type of sound elements we could find, and it ended up being the Find Your Key beeper remotes that you can buy online. So we found a set of those for relatively inexpensive. And that combined with those stick-on earring gems that you can purchase at the dollar store. We marked each of the flag or spot locations on the map with a different shape of a gem. And then on the remote that he had with him, he had 6 different gems. So when he felt like he was getting close to the marker that he wanted to be at, he would then use that same matching gem on his remote, beep the cue, hear it, and yeah, it worked out really well. And we're actually, as a small element to the summer camp that we do in August, we're creating a 3D maze that utilizes those same sound cues so that even our non-visually impaired participants can experience what that actually feels like and potentially what that looks like and how that can actually impact sport longer term. Yeah, so yeah, just a big thank you to our volunteers that help us throughout all of our programs and to the families that continue to come out and support us.